VSpann, America's communication network for veterans.
Welcome to the Veterans Special Programs American National Network, VSpann. Our spotlight today shines on the services available to veterans and their families, and how the American Legion provided a widow with the services that resulted in a successful outcome. Linda Gibson's husband earned benefits as a combat veteran in Vietnam. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to learn about a process available to many, but only known by a few. Linda Gibson is joining us to tell her story. Linda, welcome to VSpann. We're proud to have you here. Gary is a decorated service veteran. Tell us about Gary Gibson.
Gary was Special Forces Army, 28 years, retired Sergeant Major.
He won several very prestigious awards, too.
Yes, he's 3 tours of Vietnam. He had a Purple Heart, and amongst other things.
Yeah, the Bronze Star.
Bronze Star.
The Bronze Star. When he retired in 1991?
91.
In 91, something began happening. Tell us about that.
He was having difficulty breathing, and he was a truck driver. He had difficulty breathing, so he had to retire in 2004, to where I would take him to the Hines Hospital for treatment, and because medicine was so expensive that we figured his VA benefits should go, or his benefits should go through the VA instead of Walgreens and stuff like that. So we had started taking him there. And from there, he got his medication and was asked if any way could he be exposed to Agent Orange, because his legs and his chest had no hair on them. So I would have to constantly take him back down there to find out that there was no test for Agent Orange. So they kind of totally wiped us out on that.
So the symptoms were consistent
Yes.
with other veterans who were exposed to Agent Orange. You went through this for quite some time with the treatments.
About 7-8 years.
Yeah. And unfortunately,
he passed away December 2011, and I had called the VA to let them know that he had passed away, and was asking about my part of his pension, and they told me that he did not sign me up for it, and that I was not entitled to it, and hung up on me. And I didn't know where to go after that. And with Mick Grady of VSpann, I had called him, and he had brought me down to the American Legion, to where I would talk to Ray, who I gave them all my information, and he put it into the computer with all my applications for burial and pension and anything else that was awarded from us being married 10 years and me taking care of him.
Linda, your story is not unusual, and that is to say that men and women who have served or are spouses of those who have served often run into obstacles or roadblocks and don't know where to go. You feel that door is closed and it can't be reopened again. What was the motivation for you to pursue this and look to get a resolve?
The American Legion told me, don't give up. We'll work on the paperwork, and I would get letters from them every 2 months saying, well, we need this, we need this, we're still working on your case. And I was getting disappointed, thinking, okay, they're just sending me a letter, but they were working on it, and there was a good outcome from it.
And the outcome is that you did get the survivor's benefits that Gary earned while in combat.
Yes.
Was that a surprise to you?
Yes, it was. I went to the bank, and I was depositing money, and I got a receipt out of the ATM, and I looked at it, and I went, well, okay. So then I went home, and I checked on the computer on my banking, and there it was. And there was 3 payments, and then Monday I received a letter from the VA that this is how much I will be rewarded a month.
And prior to that, you had no idea that this was going through.
No, I wouldn't even spend the money. I wouldn't touch it. That's not mine. Where'd that come from?
Like having a lottery ticket and being told you won. You want to make sure before you try to cash it in.
Exactly.
And how long did that process take with the American Legion working on your behalf?
I went down there on January 2nd, so I would say 8 months. 8 months of waiting.
Were you kept appraised of what was going on through the American Legion?
I received like 2 or 3 letters from them. Like every 2 to 3 months, they would just tell me I'm still working on it. And then when I got the settlement that I didn't know until the next mail day, Monday. It was a very nice, very, very nice.
Now, when Mick Gritty from VSpann took you to the American Legion to introduce you to your advocate, you were confronted with a person you've never met in your life. What kind of confidence did you have that anything was going to happen?
When I first met him, you know, I like you said, I didn't know him, but he made me feel comfortable. Oh, we could do this for you and we can do that for you. Let's fill out this application for this. Let's fill out this application for, I think I filled out 4 applications. Wow. And everything was just started rolling. And when I got the first letter, I think I got a little bit more confidence that they were really, really working on my case.
Mm-hmm. And at no point would I suggest that this is an entitlement. This is something that Gary earned through his service, his diligent service in the military, and earning 2 prestigious medals, the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. This on a video, it's possible that the person who worked on this case with you is watching this right now. If you had something to say to Ray and the advocates at the American Legion, what would it be?
I would like to thank them very much for helping me. And I hope you can help other people like you helped me. Just keep up the good work with helping.
Linda, would you like to say it in person? Ray? Wayne? Ray Tozek. Wayne Mestrak from the VA.
Good to see you again. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for everything you've done.
Sorry it took so long, but that's the VA.
It's okay.
We're glad to have been able to help.
These are the men from the American Legion that were your advocates with the VA. They made it happen.
Thank you.
When we return, we're going to learn what Wayne Machek and Ray Tozak did to reopen a door that was previously closed. This is VSpann.
VSpann is a network designed to serve the American veteran. Its mission is to inform, inspire, enlighten, honor, remember, and entertain. Soldiers and veterans will not ask for our help, but it needs to be given nevertheless. Winston Churchill once said, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." This sentiment stands true today.
Veterans deserve this. We owe them, not the other way around.
It's time to pay back our debt to our soldiers and our veterans. It's time for VSpann.
Our next VSpann guests hail from the American Legion's Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation Division. Please welcome Director Wayne Mastek and Service Officer Ray Tozek. Guys, the last segment here with Linda Gibson was very touching, and that just touched a little bit on what the organization does, what the American Legion does. Many folks don't have a clue what programs are available to them. And what would direct a veteran or their spouse to look at the American Legion for support and help?
I think Linda brought out very succinctly that when you call the VA now on the toll-free number, they're doing their best, but they're getting over 100,000 calls a month. They're under production standards, so it's yes, hello, here's your answer, goodbye type thing. They don't go into the meat of any kind of a claim, so people get turned off when they call the VA. I'm not saying they're bad, but they get turned off and they just say, well, it's not worth it. And that's when they definitely should come over to our office, give us a call, email us, or write us, or come in, and we will assist them, because the VA's paperwork, when you hear about red tape, it's true. I used to work for the VA for 33 years, so I know the other side of the story. And back in the 70s and 80s, for instance, the widow's application, which we helped fill out, was only 4 pages long. Now it's 12 pages. Used to take 2 months. Now it takes, in her case, 8 months. Some are dragging on for a year or two. And as you can see, people will get frustrated. They'll just say, it's not worth it. And they throw it up in the air and give up. So we're there to help them. Now, obviously, we're not going to say everyone who walks in will get benefits, because we have to go under the laws of Congress and what they offer. But we're there to help, and like Linda said, we give them support, we help them answer the questions correctly. Linda's case was a little bit unique because there were like 4 different applications we filled out that day, one of which was unique to a law change. At the time of her husband's death, he had a claim pending. A couple years ago, when the veteran died, the claim died. But Congress changed the law and said, well, that's not fair, so if the widow wants to be substituted for that claim, you can do that, but you got to fill out a form for it. So we knew about the form, put that in, so actually it was a double whammy. She not only got her survivor's benefits, but she also got retroactive benefits for the claim that was pending when he died. And this is what we do day in and day out at our office.
Rich, I think you asked, how would someone know to contact the American Legion to assist in something like this? Unfortunately, a lot of them don't. One of the ways that our services are communicated is through our monthly magazine that all of our members get. Some members may not read it. Then there's a lot of veterans that aren't members of any organization, so some of them are out of the loop as far as getting regular information on what benefits are offered through the organizations. We do have a national website which lists all of the benefits, has contact information for offices in all of the states, including ours here in Chicago. We have a state website that has similar information. A lot of it's word of mouth. But yeah, it's a good question. How do they find us? I wish we could have more outreach and get the word out there, spread the word more to make people know what's available to them.
Well, that's the very reason for VSpann, the Veteran Special Programs American National Network, is to make these type of programs more accessible by information, because knowledge can be dangerous sometimes. Now, in Linda's case, her husband Gary, he retired as a sergeant major. He was a decorated war veteran, earned the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, and she was seeking survivor benefits, spouse benefits from the pension. And it seems to me that it would be clear she was entitled to something. Now, what did you have to go through, Ray, in order to make this work toward a successful conclusion?
One of the major obstacles we ran across in her case in particular was, first of all, when a veteran dies, the cause of death has to be linked to something that occurred in service, or in this case, Agent Orange exposure. And Congress gave the VA a shopping list of about 12 to 15 conditions, including diabetes, heart, and various cancers. He was in that gray area. He had a certain problem that wasn't directly on the list, but he had a kind of a track record of treatment. So we actually had to get the VA to go out and get a private doctor's opinion through their VA healthcare system to make that link and say, yes, what he suffered during his military career and soon afterward was probably relinked to the Agent Orange exposure. Other cases are easy. They die of prostate cancer or lung cancer. It's a slam dunk. But since that was a gray area, we had to go out that extra step and get the medical opinion.
The symptoms that Gary Gibson exhibited were consistent with other veterans who have been exposed to toxins like Agent Orange. But how could an organization just blanketly dismiss that as not being a valid claim? And I'm speaking of the VA, not in any negative way, but in a way that is a question. How does an organization like that, working for it, Ray, have the power to say, no, it doesn't, the door's closed, go away?
Very interesting. When I started in '73 with the VA, the VA said Agent Orange didn't exist. They started getting pickets down at the main office. Bill Curtis did an expose on the TV, and then the VA said, well, it existed, but it was only sprayed in certain areas. This went through a whole process. Eventually, the government said, okay, we admit it, it was sprayed everywhere, and then they had the National Academy of Sciences start doing studies, because they can't just say it's linked to Agent Orange without some medical background. So as we speak now, additional studies are going on, and that's why it's important for any veteran who served in Vietnam to go to their local VA hospital and enroll in the Agent Orange registry. This is how they put together all the symptomology, like you said, the breathing problems and stuff. They then give this to the NAS to do the research, the studies, and then as the studies show a linkage or a probable cause, then the VA says to Congress, pass us a law so we can give benefits to veterans. So in the last 5 years, we've had Parkinson's disease added to the list of Agent Orange conditions.
Actually, in the last 3 years, I believe.
And we had diabetes recently added, coronary artery disease, prostate cancer, to name a few. And the studies are continuing. And in fact, there are probably widows out there now whose husbands died in the 90s from diabetes or Parkinson's. The law was not in effect. So if they hear this program, they should contact us or the VA. We'll help them file a claim, and they can now get benefits because the law has been changed. And as Wayne said, if you're a member of the Legion, you get the magazine, and these laws are publicized in our magazine. You get the Sun-Times or Tribune, you might see it on page 27, a little 1-inch paragraph, Agent Orange laws changed. So they don't like to publicize that too much, but the Legion obviously does because we want to get the benefits, as you mentioned earlier, to those who are entitled. This is not something they just are given. They earned it by wearing the uniform and sometimes sacrificing their lives for us.
One of the things I'd like to add, too, to what Ray said is that these studies that were done by the government finally were at the urging of the American Legion, who not only pushed to have the studies done, but helped fund some of the studies that discovered the links to Agent Orange.
And for clarification, Wayne and Ray, these services that you provide as an advocate, as the service officer, are not just for members of the American Legion. They're available to all.
We're there for any veteran. If a veteran served, had 1 day on active duty, he's a veteran, we're there to assist him. If there's something we can help him with, we're available. We're not going to ask him for membership. We're not going to ask him to join. We'd love to see him be part of our organization because we feel there's strength in numbers. But we're there to help him regardless of his membership.
How many people do you have in your caseload? You have to go through many, many of these, Ray. What would your caseload look like?
That's a good question. I retired from the VA 5 years ago. I've been working now as a service officer for the Legion, and I keep a pending file so we can periodically, like in Linda's case, let her know that it's pending. I have 237 cases pending right now in various stages. One of them, believe it or not, is 16 years old. I inherited it when I came on. And the only reason for that is the veteran keeps on appealing it back and forth with Washington and gives the VA a little tidbit of evidence. And that's one of the problems. Veterans, if they do it themselves, drag on the process. If they deal with a service organization like us, we can tell them, well, this is irrelevant. You can submit it, but it ain't going to help anything. Let's get the case decided, or go out to your private doctor, get an opinion, or this or that. We can't always make it go super fast, but we can certainly cut back a lot of the processing time.
And just to know that an advocate like yourself is available just has to make it so much easier for the spouse or the veteran.
Yeah, and as Linda said, when she first came into my office, you take a little while to get used to each other, but we try and be just like you and I are talking. We're human beings. I'm a veteran. Wayne's a veteran. We've been there, done that, and we don't get their promises too high, but we say, here's what we're going to do. We think we have a chance. Let's go for it. One of our mottos is, when in doubt, fill it out. So we file the claims. But I can speak for Wayne and myself. We love what we do. What happened today just reinforces our job and our satisfaction.
That's the reason we come back to work every day. Things like with Linda today. I have a recollection of recently that had a veteran had been working to get his claim through for quite a while, and it was finally resolved, and I called him on the phone to let him know. I told him, you're going to be getting a retro check, so when you go to the bank, don't be shocked when you get $116,000 deposited to it. And the wife says, oh my gosh, just like winning Publishers Clearinghouse.
We're talking with Ray Kozak and Wayne Maischak, the Department Director for Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation, and the Service Officer. Ray, thank you for being here. Wayne, thank you for being here.
A pleasure.
When we return, we're going to be joined by the Illinois State Commander of the American Legion, who will inform us about the many programs and the initiatives available to all veterans and their families. This is VSpann.
If you're interested in pursuing a career in radio or television, look no further than the Illinois Center for Broadcasting. The Illinois Center for Broadcasting offers hands-on training in radio, TV, and web design. They offer financial aid for those who qualify and accept veterans' education benefits, including GI Bill Chapter 33 post 9/11. If you have any questions about the GI Bill Chapter 33 post 9/11, call the Illinois Center for Broadcasting at 630-916-1700 and ask for a financial aid representative. If you do not meet the GI Bill requirements, there's another option, known as the Veterans Retraining Assistance Program. For more information about the Veterans Retraining Assistance Program, call 1-800-827-1000 or visit the website at www.benefits.va.gov/VOW or call the Illinois Center for Broadcasting, Lombard Campus at 630-916-1700 and ask for a financial aid representative.
Our final guest is the American Legion's Department Commander for the state of Illinois. Please welcome Wayne Wagner. Wayne, welcome to VSpann.
Thank you.
You've got a big responsibility commanding all of these American Legion posts. It's a big organization. It's got a rich history also.
Right. Yeah, the American Legion is the world's largest veteran service organization in the world. We were started in 1919, and the fact of them starting it at that time is a story in itself. But they started in Paris right after the end of World War I, and it's amazing to me always that they started it before they even came home, knowing that their fallen comrades, their wounded comrades, were going to need help. The families of their fallen comrades were going to need help. Then they formed the American Legion for that purpose, basically. Once they got back to the States, they met again as a group and set up basically 4 pillars that they were going to concentrate under. Those 4 pillars are still in operation today. We still fall under those things. Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation, which is their main focus at that first meeting, to make sure that the veterans are taken care of, their wounded veterans are taken care of, their families, and so forth are taken care of. That was their main focus. The other one was national security. They knew that a country that had a strong national security, a strong defense, was a safer country. They learned that from their war experience. No war had been fought on U.S. soils, and they wanted to make sure that stayed in force. So they reinforced that the America keep a strong national defense. The other one was children and youth. They knew that their fallen comrades' families were going to need help. They wanted to make sure that the opportunities were available to their kids and in general all children and youth, because they realized that all the young people were the future of the America, and was going to be our future leaders, so that they wanted to make sure that they were educated, which leads into the 4th pillar, is education and scholarship. Those two kind of, to me, are related. They wanted to maintain a good education for the young people, knowing that they were going to be our leaders and rule the country in the future. And those 4 pillars pretty much stand today. Under those 4 pillars, we have thousands of programs. too many to mention, but we encourage each Legion post, which we have, I think, 816 Legion posts, individual posts within the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois has just a little over 105,000 members. We are one of the larger departments in the United States. But we try and enforce that each Legion post do one of the programs that are available. It gives them some purpose to be, to exist. We also try and encourage them to sit down and write what they do for the community. A lot of posts you go into say, oh, we don't do anything, we just come sit in a meeting and have a meeting once a month and don't really do anything around. But you get them to sit down and think of what they do for the community. They do funeral honors for fallen veterans. They do a breakfast. They do, community uses their post. Once you sit down and get them to think about what they do a lot for the community. I know one saying was that if the Legion post in your town ceased to exist, would your community miss you? And I think in most cases the answer to that would be yes, because they do a lot for the communities that they're in, besides over a global area. We do sponsor lobbying trips to Washington every year from all the departments throughout the country. We verge on Washington Hill and try and lobby our congressmen for any veterans' rights that are out there. We have legislative people that keep track of all the bills that are coming up, and they love to give us a word if they're good bills, bad bills for the veterans. We don't care which political party they come from. If they're good for the veterans, we're for it. If they go against the veterans, then we'll let them know that we're against it. And with about 2.6 million, 2.4 million members nationwide, they do listen to us.
Teddy Roosevelt Jr., I think he's regarded as the father of the American Legion, the eldest son of Teddy Roosevelt. If he envisioned how the American Legion was going to evolve,
you kind of think in the back of the mind they maybe did, because like you did the 4 pillars that they set up 90-some years ago. We still use them. They're still effective. So they had enough foresight to think ahead of what was coming up, what was going to be needed, and so I think they had a vision of what it was going to involve in.
Wayne, talk to us about the youth programs that the American Legion sponsors.
The American Legion has a lot of youth programs that we have in the state of Illinois. We have the Youth Police School, which is a sort of a state police mini academy camp. They go through a lot of the things. We were down there this summer. They were studying fingerprinting, taking fingerprints off of pop cans, off of floors, footprints, and so forth. And throughout the whole course of the week, they learned different aspects of the police department and law enforcement. It's not necessarily that a youth wants to become a policeman, but by going through this camp, they're more aware of what the police do for them and some of the operations of that. We also have Boy State and Girl State, the Legion Auxiliary. The American Legion is made up of 4 groups: American Legion, American Legion Auxiliary, Sons of the American Legion, and Legion Riders. The American Legion sponsors Boy State, which is a week at Eastern Illinois University on campus. And there we teach them the fundamentals of government, how the election process works. They all run for town offices, county offices, state offices. Ultimately, we elect a governor from this Boy State. The Legion Auxiliary puts on a week of Girl State, which is basically the same program that they learn the election process. Excuse me. But and then we have an oratorical contest. It's open to all high school kids, boys and girls. They have a constitutional amendment that they can talk on. No notes, just get up and start talking. And they can win scholarship money for their college education from that contest. So we need participation in all of those.
And again, all of these programs are open to any youth, whether or not they're members of the American Legion.
Correct.
However, the requirement, is there a requirement that veterans have to be involved or not?
No. Well, the programs are sponsored and put on by the Legion and the Legion Auxiliary. And the Boy State, of course, Legionnaires are present. We are enlisting the help of Sons of the American Legion too, and they are on campus for the entire time, and they do conduct the classes and take care of the boys. So it is a Legion, function. Legion people are there, Legion members are there, but the youth don't have to be descendants of a Legion member. It's open to everybody. And
now, the American Legion, Wayne, is comprised of many people who make these programs work. The fundraising comes from membership. You have very few paid positions. Most are funded or populated with volunteers.
Correct. All the people that man the Youth Police School, the Boy State the Boy State program, they take a week out of their time, completely volunteer, come down there and administer the programs and help us put them on. So yes, a lot of volunteer hours. We also have volunteers at the VA hospitals, driving veterans to appointments, anything that they might need. There's a lot of other programs that also help veterans' families. Another program that's popular is the American Legion Baseball. There's a lot of pro players that have gone through American Legion Baseball. Again, we need more participation, more teams. Same problem as Boy State and Girl State. The summers anymore with our youth are getting pretty full with extracurricular school activities and so forth. Their time is pretty tight, and so we're battling for a position in their life. Boy State, Girl State is a week that changes your life, and we've evidenced that. I had one parent came back, pick up their boy this last summer. Said when we brought him down, he was sitting in the back seat whining about they thinking he was taking him to prison and so forth. And when they picked him up, he became a young man. So he said it changed his life in a week, and that's a rewarding experience that the volunteers look for.
Now we've touched on just a few of the multitude of programs and services available through the American Legion. Certainly we don't have enough time to touch on all of them, but we've run the gamut from the beginning of the show where veterans and spouses have now an advocate that can represent them when issues arise that require somebody who is going to stand behind them and not behind them, next to them, and walk through the process all the way through these programs. Give me one reason that a veteran should join the American Legion.
Well, the numbers count. We don't like to preach membership, but it is important in our organization. Like I say, when you can go to a legislator and say we have 2.4 million members plus the auxiliary plus the Sons of the American Legion, all voting age, they kind of perk up and listen. If our numbers drop down low enough, then you're not going to get the clout in Congress, and you can guarantee that the American Legion is there to fight for the veterans' rights and any benefits that are there for them. So if they're, ever wanting to get one of the benefits, membership does count.
It does. Would it be safe to say that regardless of what veteran organization you choose to belong to, getting involved, you can make a difference?
Yes. We have many dual members, like the VFW, all the veteran service organizations. They're basically out there for the same reason. A lot of them have different eligibility requirements, but we have a lot of dual members or triple members of different organizations of veterans. And I think those people realize that their membership does count, and that they are ultimately out there helping their fellow veterans. The camaraderie from their service days still carries forward. They still remember their service people, whether retired, active, or whatever. They know what they're going through. They've been there, they've done that, and they're there to support them.
Well, our show here, Wayne, has been absolutely inspiring from the beginning all the way through what you're doing right now, and we thank you very much, Wayne, for being with us. Our VSpann Spotlight was on the American Legion Department of Illinois. For more information on this great organization, visit their website at www.illegion.org. This program was made possible through the studios and future broadcast professionals at the Illinois Center for Broadcasting, Lombard Campus, where broadcasting careers begin. Visit beonair.com for more information about a career on radio and TV. You're watching the Veterans Special Programs American National Network. This is VSpann.